Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1, not F1 Championship. Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1 24 summer season. We're here today for the Monaco Grand Prix. And it is a difficult one for sure. We've got Terence and PJ looking for their first league races in the game at the moment. And it's going to be very, very difficult time for them because, yeah, I say that. Terence has had a couple of league races already, so not completely running into it blind. PJ, this is their first league race since F1 23, so it's going to be difficult, but Monaco Grand Prix circuit, what a track to try and get used to it at. It's going to be incredibly difficult, but by the time you get used to it around Monaco, you'll be absolutely fine at all the other circuits. This might be a blessing in disguise. We might have rain. I know a lot of people have already retired. It might be that the track is quite wet. I'm not entirely sure. Whether it's raining or not, I don't know. But 2 minutes 50 on the clock. Peter's just trying to get that experience in. Looking at the kind of... It almost looks like a McLaren Marlboro livery, but it's not at the same time. It's got a bit of green. It's got a bit of blue. It's really quite nice. There is the rain, as you could see. Terence has also got a very nice livery that we'll get to see in the race. Unfortunately, we missed that in qualifying. Still, PJ, very good driver and hustling it around the circuit despite having the issues. They set a lap. Zingy will start at the back. They might have just extended over track limits there. They might have got away with it. They got away with it. That, despite them saying that they're struggling, that was a perfect turn one, track limit wise on the inside. And it's only going to be more difficult with these tyre conditions, and something that they'll figure out, maybe the hard way, is that it's incredibly difficult to ride or to run slick tyre on a wet circuit. So yeah, they'll find that out in a few moments' time, I'm sure. There's possibilities for wet conditions in the race. I've heard we've got a 35% distance race. It is going to be a much shorter one, and we'll see how that one goes. Quickly going to do something a second as PJ goes through the final sector, sending it through. It doesn't look that bad considering it's his first time in the game and the conditions that they're driving in. And they're going to go for one more lap to see if they can just get that extra experience that they need and go into the race looking a little bit better. The 10.6, so that's an 8.4 for Nifo. It's still a long way to go. They do unfortunately get a big snap of oversteer, and that will be a damaged front wing, which isn't exactly what you want, so that will probably be the end of qualifying right there. But yeah, 8.4 and a 10.6, so just over 2 seconds away, and they will be going into the pit lane after this one as they once again understeer with that lack of front downforce. The rotation isn't there to get through the hairpin. And that will unfortunately be that for PJ right there. But it is what it is. Alright. Carrying on through to the end of qualifying. We're on pretty good timing to finish this race before the next Euros match. England currently 0-0 or 1-1 at the 90 minute. That is PJ once again having a bit of a hard time with that front wing. A hell of a lot of rotation on pit entry though. Now, something to say, it is Nifo, Terence and Zingy's first race at Monaco for LSI. That's incredible considering Zingy was here in Season 5. His first race in LSI at Monaco. Igor and PJ have been here at Monaco a few times, the oldest serving members in LSI. They've had about 4 Monaco Grand Prix, maybe a little bit less if they missed 1 or 2, but 4 Grand Prix we have run in LSI for each tier. Not all tiers combined, it's about 8, maybe more, if you consider all the tiers. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. F2 I think we had before in the past. That's Nifo on pole, Igor in P2 and Terence in P3. Race director, track limits, having a look at, not really too much. We'll be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. Ready. Hold. Go! The Monaco Grand Prix is underway for the first time in LSI, and that is Niffa getting a perfect start. Nothing to be changed there. Igor in P2, and Zingy trying to get the position on Terrence as they jump. PJ off the line. PJ following up the hills. You can see all the cars up in front. Brilliant start there for Niffo, and PJ just holding on at the moment as everyone's bunched up. Zingy's looking to the inside line, but there's contact. There's big contact. That's not going to be good as he wants to go back to the inside line into the hairpin, sends it through, but they make even more contact. That's devastating. Terrence gets damage. Zingy lucky to get away with it. PJ was involved. They might have damage on their right end plate there. That is taken 2 cars out of contention immediately on the opening lap as they really wanted to get it done, but it's never really going to work side by side there. That is horrible to see. PJ and Terrence both having their issues. PJ obviously is able to follow on quite quickly. Terrence had to reverse their way out of that incident and they continue, but right now it is Nifayan and Igapro who lead the way with no problems at all. You can see the yellow wall tyre on that car and the yellow wall tyre on Igapro's car. So they're both on exactly the same strategy. Would they try and go onto a soft tyre later on, or is it going to be the standard hard tyre towards the end? I think it would be the soft tyre, considering that they're on the medium tyre already right now. Zingy is currently on this tyre. They look like they've managed to get away with any damage as they do a little bit of a tail whip on the exit right there as they go down to the hairpin, and we will get to see if they do have damage, but it doesn't really look like it. 2.1, 1.8, despite being on the hard tyre. Zingy is loving this at the moment. You can just see the front end having so much grip and trying to turn in, just bouncing across the bumpy circuit. It's so difficult to drive this circuit in this game, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. That could have been a track limit if Zingy wasn't careful. Got to be so cautious of the track limits around this circuit. And not only that, if you go over certain track limits, well, there isn't actually a track limit to go over, there is a wall, and you will be in big trouble. But Zingy hunting down Igor is looking good. PJ, are they going to dive into the pit lane? I think they'll stay out as they have done before, and Terrence is going to do not the same thing. They don't have any damage. Wait, did they pit? Terrence can't have pitted. They just didn't have any damage. I'm amazed. I swear they had some damage, but it just seems that PJ was the only one to have that. So 3.9 second, that could change, and we could get 2 potential overtakes being looked at here. Zingy is going to try and hunt down Igor, and Terrence is going to try and hunt down PJ. This is going to be interesting indeed. A 3.1 second gap Niffo has to his teammate Zingy. These guys are racing for Racing Bulls in the championship. Igor, I believe, for Aston Martin in the Saturday tier. It would be Ferrari on the Friday tier, other way round potentially, but I'm pretty sure he's driving for Aston Martin. Terrence not signed up just yet, and PJ is reserve driver. So currently that's how it stands, and Zingy can see him in the distance, just can't find that extra pace. Whether they're looking for the time. Oh, I do not believe it. That's PJ unfortunately out, and the safety car is deployed, and Niffo will manage to overtake the safety car just about. I say that. Are they braking to try and hold off the Delta, or are they braking to avoid disqualification? They hold off the Delta, but they will overtake the safety car at that point right there. Igor's going to look to try and go past. The safety car couldn't make its mind up, almost takes Igor out there. That was a bit crazy, wasn't it? Zingy goes into the pit lane immediately as they react. They are going to be held by the Delta, but they'll be good to go to the end of the Grand Prix most likely. The other guys are also going to be very good to go to the end of the Grand Prix. Zingy could possibly get track position if they can use this tyre advantage, but the other guys will be faster later on. That is terrible news to see PJ out. I was hoping to look for a pretty decent battle right there. It will bring the grid up. It will bring Terrence back into the race on that hard tyre. But yeah, it's a shame. It was looking like we'd get a nice little battle within a couple of laps time, but PJ just not able to keep it there, and that was a big shunt. Lots of debris everywhere across the track. It's an incredibly difficult circuit. Alrighty. Safety car is out, deployed, after a big shunt, and I don't reckon, regardless of whatever safety car rate you've got, unless it's none, you are always going to get a full safety car for an instant like that, right in the middle of the circuit as well, as it probably will be around this circuit. Now, Igor catches up to the back of Nifo. Zingy will catch up in a few moments' time. Interestingly, Nifo and Igor decide not to go to the pit lane, and they're gonna go for a set of soft tyres. Now, I say that's interesting because if Zingy's now on a fresh set of medium tyres, they might have a chance to be able to get a pretty decent overtake if they've got that fresher tyre. That being said, it is Monaco, so really the tyre shouldn't wear that much. But they're looking to go for that soft tyre in a little bit, and Zingy will probably be able to follow them, whether he is behind them or in front of them. So yeah, their strategies will no longer be split. It will no longer force Zingy to choose what to do or to push. It's now going to make it incredibly, not straightforward, but it gives them a clear path. They can either stay out and try and extend the gap, or have enough of a gap from a pit stop to be able to win a Grand Prix, or they could go to a soft tyre. They do have two options, whereas Igor and Nifo currently only have one option, and that is to pit for a set of soft tyres at the end of the Grand Prix, as they did not go for this hard tyre. Maybe even they could even wait until the safety car comes in and go for a set of softs, but I really don't think it'll work. I think what they should have maybe had a look at was going for a soft and a medium again to finish off the Grand Prix. That could have been very, very possible. But it is what it is, and what is done is done. Terrence will be catching up in a few moments' time as Zingy just finds the back of the pack, and then we'll see how this one is going to go. 17 seconds. We could be going racing at the end of this lap. Terrence is looking to try and warm the tyres up a little bit as they catch up to the safety car. They want to find a little bit more. I would recommend that they just push. That's ultimately how you're going to gain the most temperature around this circuit. Otherwise you have to go so slow just to warm up those tyres. But yes, I'm sure we will be seeing the safety car go in at the end of this lap. As you can see, I was going to say Nifo warming up their tyres, but they're not actually warming up their tyres, they're just staying where they are. I think they're trying to make sure the tyres don't wear down as much, because they know that the others' tyres are going to be pretty cold as well, and it's going to be very difficult to actually go for overtakes if that is the case. So we'll see how that one goes, but they're giving each other a lot of space. In fairness, there is the safety car, and Terrence is going to have to get a move on to try and catch up now. And they will be able to do so. The delta is completely done. They've just got a couple more corners. They are still warming up, but Nifo has to wait for that safety car to go in. The safety car comes around the final corner and goes into the pit lane. They can go at any point. When will they go for it? Will they go for it nice and early? Terrence catches up. On the throttle they go into the final corner, and it will be full speed racing. Igor not able to react too well. Zingy able to react very well as they are communicating, the two teammates, to the inside line, and there is contact between the two. Zingy's going to be furious with that one. Igor defending with everything they could, trying to decide which way to go. I'm not sure they could really see what was happening, and now to the inside again, trying to leave minimal space. They make contact. Zingy's not having any of it. They muscle their way through, and that is as close as it's ever going to get at Monaco. Absolutely incredible between the two. Zingy found their way through, and now they're going to try and hunt down their teammate. That was hard defending at the absolute limit, maybe even a little bit too far, but it got there in the end, and luckily no one's got any damage. Zingy gets through. Terrence is right behind, looking to try and get a nice kind of undercut on everyone later on, so maybe their tyres will start to die off. They're just going to make sure that they don't get any time penalties. That's really what you need to think about around this circuit. And just looking at that livery, very nice indeed with the black and blue. We've got the black and green and purple for Igor, and then we've got the classic, of course, purple for Zingy. Goes for the orange tint as well, and then the yellow, black and blue for Nifo. DRS is available very early on. This is the first time that DRS is available now, I believe. I say first time, it might be the first time that it's actually going to be able to be used, as Zingy will be right close behind Terrence. It's pretty close behind Igor, actually, so Igor not able to hold on with the front guys, but Terence is able to catch up a bit, so they are doing quite well to do so on a set of hard tyres. I'll be honest, I think everyone's tyres are kind of a bit cold at the moment, so that's potentially why, and we'll see. There you go, I was just having a bit of an issue with technical problems right there, but we switch to the front runners again and see what they can do. Whether they'll be in a battle very shortly, we do not know. We will find out. Holding on behind is Zingy, waiting for that second DRS dose, or the first actual DRS dose is only activated last lap. No ERS will be used. They're going to just try and make sure that they catch up as much as they can and hold to the back of Nifo. They've still got a fairly long way to go in this Grand Prix. Both Igor and Terence slow on the exit of one, but more importantly keeping it out of the wall. And that will be the way to get through this Grand Prix longevity, just holding on. And Terence, obviously being involved in that incident at the beginning of the Grand Prix wasn't exactly ideal, but now they're back in it, and they are good to go, and maybe looking to try and get a podium here in the summer season on the Saturday tier. Let's hope Terence can do that. Let's hope that Igor can hold on. For both drivers, we want them to do well. Ultimately, someone's going to miss out on the podium right here. Lap 9 out of 27. We're a third of the way through the Grand Prix. Should be absolutely fine. Whether we'll get the rain later on or if the rain was just for qualifying, I'm not entirely sure. But it could be that we get rain at the final third of the Grand Prix, potentially, maybe the halfway mark. We'll watch the weather. Currently, it's very, very clear, very, very sunny at the moment. We go with the top two to see they are very close again now. As you go over the hill with the sun shining, Zingy looking incredibly close, almost so close that they could go for a move. To the inside line, they have a look, but Nifo will be still ahead, makes a mistake, goes for a bit of an understeer. Zingy can't find a way through into the hairpin as they did on Terence. They make contact with the back of their teammate as they're just trying to find any way through, going through different lines, and that's what happens. You go through different lines, you don't know where your car is, and all of a sudden you make contact. As they go into the chicane, there will not be any late braking from that far back between two teammates ever. That's just never going to happen unless they have had some really bad races in the past and they want to go for revenge, or it's the championship finale. I don't even know if that would still happen, a dive bomb like that in the championship finale. Now, as we go into the final corner, Zingy's very close to the back of his teammate. DRS is available, and they're going to be using the energy to try and go for the move. Nifo saving. They're losing none. It's very tight to the inside. Nifo just lets it go. I don't think they're willing to fight that. When I say that, though, they were actually running out of ERS, so they were probably using the energy right there to try and hold on. And Zingy, he is pretty low on it now after blasting that battery. Zingy leads the way for the Monaco Grand Prix, and Nifo sits in P2. Eager Pro will still have a lot of pressure from Terence, who is right there, and it's a lot of pressure around this circuit, let alone a car behind you, just to complete the lap. And lap after lap after lap, your concentration just goes to the absolute maximum. It's a hell of a spectacle, and once you complete the race, you do feel good if you can complete the race, and it's, yeah, incredibly difficult. And at 1.2 second, Terence just can see that. He can see it. He knows that his tyres are going to be better later on, and he will not need to pit at all. Nifo, Igor, they have to pit. All Terence needs to do is avoid time penalties, avoid losing a front wing, and he will be able to have a very nice look at getting a podium here. The disadvantage is that there are so many corners that a softer compounded tyre would be able to gain a lot of time lap after lap. It's just whether anybody will go for that soft tyre, if they're going to go for a hard tyre pretty soon. That being said, soft tyre, you want to go for it as early as you can, so you actually do have the ability to spend some time catching back up to the cars ahead, but then also you don't want to die off too much at the end, and then you can't actually go for an overtake anyway. Terence, though, he's going to be good to go all the way to the end of the Grand Prix. There's going to be virtually no change in tyre grip. Pretty much. There might be a little bit, actually, very far towards the end, but they should be good to go to the end of this Grand Prix. If they can do a little bit of tyre saving, that could be good. I think if they were slightly out, it would be between 2 and 4 laps out on tyre life. But it's nothing that you can't work with. It's DRS that Terence is trying to push for. Did they get it? That's the question. We look at the rear wing. They didn't get the DRS this time around, but they are incredibly close to look at the Serbian driver. Both in the black cars on the grid at the moment. They look like teammates at the moment, but they're definitely not going to be teammates. They are racing hard for sure. I say racing hard. This is Monaco racing hard. Pushing for the time, pushing for the pressure, pushing to get DRS. Is how it goes. It's a different spectacle. And it's Terence who is the hunter, and Igor who is currently being the hunted. Zingy leads the way by 3.6 seconds, makes it 7 as we go into the chicane. We've got Nifo sitting through the tunnel in P2 very comfortably with no one behind him at the moment. Igor doesn't have such a comfortable job at the moment, as you see Terence gaining so much time on entry. Did lose a fair bit on the exit, unfortunately, but was absolutely sending it. The problem is, if you send it so hard on entry in a race into that chicane, you really do risk the chance of having a severe issue, of course. So it is incredibly difficult to deal with. But they still got it done. Oh no, and they're not going to get it done on the exit. Unfortunately, they lose the rear and they're going to spin round, get the damage. They'll continue, but that is a hell of a amount of damage, and it's on the start-finish straight. They're going to have to do an entire lap before they can get back to the pit lane. That is absolutely tragic. Eager Pro can take a sigh of relief and they will be good to go. Could that be a call for Igor and Nifo to go straight into the pit lane? Terence is going to have to go into the pit lane regardless for a set of soft tyres and try and get it to the end of the Grand Prix. He's not going to be happy with himself after all of that. It was looking so good, so exciting, but so far Zingy has been the only one that has been able to go for an overtake, trying to hunt the car ahead down, of course. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but the overtake at Monaco was done on DRS. You don't hear that often. Usually it's a send in the braking zone because there's only one DRS zone and it's not really that effective, but it seems to be effective enough between the two teammates. He made it work, and that is currently the only overtake that we have had on track. Lap 15 out of 27, we are over the halfway mark. Not over the halfway mark of the Grand Prix. Yes, we are. We are over the halfway mark. So earlier on when I said the third of the way through, I think I probably got that wrong. So I do apologise. I might not have got it wrong. I don't quite know. My maths isn't quite there, unfortunately. But anyway, Terence goes for that soft tyre, as you see in the pit lane, getting that front wing change. And they leave the pit lane on their merry way, and they will continue. Looking to try and get some good laps in, just for practice maybe. Maybe hope that someone else has an issue and drops down the order. I'm not saying that they want to crash, but drops down the order. That is wet conditions. And this is why Igor and Nifo didn't go into the pit lane. It is raining. And unfortunately, Terence has still had to go for that soft tyre because it's just not wet enough at the moment. It's going to be incredibly difficult to deal with at the moment. How quickly will it rain though? That's the question. Will it rain so quick that we can go to set of full wets? Will it rain hard enough to even get to full wets, or will it rain very slowly and not too heavily, and we'll go to inters but not for a long time? There's anything that could happen. There's so much flexibility with the way this all works. Alrighty, looking on board with Zingy. It's not easy, going very, very slowly as it starts to get more slippy. go through the tunnel where the grip is. Of course, it is a tunnel after all. All of a sudden back onto the wet stuff, losing it on entry into the chicane. I think it might be time, you know. It might already be time, even though it looks like it should still be slick tyres. They tap the wall. They're all over the place. That is Nifo. 10 seconds behind. They've got a bit of a front wing loss right there. So everyone's struggling. Thingy's drifting through the circuit. They have to go into the pit lane, surely. They don't go into the pit lane. Nifo, are they going to go into the pit lane? I think it would be silly not to for someone. I do get a bit of a connection issue as they go through. The pit lane will be inbound. Eager Pro is surely going to follow suit. And they do so. Terrence, are they going to go for a second pit stop as well? Or are they going to try and stay out? I'm not entirely sure. Intermediates it is for Nifo and Igor. And they continue on the exit of the pit lane. There is the Serbian driver who was in the battle. DRS is disabled. That's usually what Zingy uses to reference whether it's wet enough to go into the pit lane or out of the pit lane, so they will be definitely going into the pit lane now for that reason. But I really think so. They've got half a lap to do under the indication usually when they should go into the pit lane. They extend track limits. As you can see, it's impossible to stop the car, and it is a 3-second time penalty, so it's just too late. Half a lap too late, looking to possibly get even more damage in the car if they're not careful. They get the first time penalty out of anyone this evening. Terrence goes into the pit lane as well. They leave the pit lane on that intermediate tyre now, and Zingy not really going to be happy with that call, but it is what it is, and they do eventually get into the pit lane. Do they have damage on that purple car? I don't quite know. We will find out as they go down the pit lane with an interestingly green pit crew. They don't have damage on that car. Nifo, unfortunately, didn't get the repair that they were looking for, as the game still has that bug, but they will stay out and continue for as long as they can. Even though you may have damage around Monaco, it sounds ridiculous, but it is still possible to be able to drive the car around the circuit because you have so much slow speed corners. The wings become slightly less effective, and the rotation is all about the suspension. So it's not impossible, but it's still incredibly difficult. As you can see, the understeer on the tyre is very difficult to deal with because of that front wing loss of downforce. You get less load, and then you just light up the front end. And unfortunately, that's what you can see right now with the car. Incredibly difficult to deal with. Igor doesn't have damage, but they are creeping around the circuit. Terrence, they don't have damage either. They did have damage before. Interestingly, they got the repair, whereas Nifo didn't. So the game just bugs out completely randomly. Still haven't fixed it after 2 games, and things were definitely affected with pit stop issues in F1 esports. Still not fixing it though. It's absolutely incredible. I know it wasn't quite the same thing in F1 esports. It was about tyres really, but these simple things in the game that should be crucial, as it is crucial in the Formula 1, are still broken. And you know, you could say now and again, maybe it's just, it is what it is, and it happens. You know, it does happen in real motorsport, stuff like that. Errors within racing and operations within the pit crew, but when it happens this often, it is unacceptable, because it all of a sudden becomes not something that's random. It does become a game bug, and we see it so often, and it's really not fair on any driver to have that issue. Terrence continues on this intermediate tyre at the moment. Despite having their issues, seem to be enjoying the circuit. Whether that is the case or not, we can ask them later on. Zingy leads the way by 9.8 seconds. They did extend that before, of course, where Nifo had that damage, but they made so many mistakes on their in-lap to go for that intermediate tyre that gap just really dropped off quite a lot, quite badly, and it wasn't what we wanted to see for Zingy. He has that time penalty, of course, so 3 seconds will be added to the end, but they may have been touching that wall right there on the inside. You got to be careful. Obviously, in time trial, you get an invalidation for that because there's no damage. But in the race, you don't get an invalidation for it. You don't get a warning for it. You just get a loss of a front wing if you do it a little bit too hard. So you've got to be very careful of doing that one. The further on you go into the race, the more punishment your wing will eventually get. You could possibly hit it very lightly once or twice, but if you continue to do that throughout a Grand Prix, you will eventually lose a bit of performance in the car. And that's not what you want to have in a race car, of course. That's pretty self-explanatory to say, for sure. Alrighty. He leads the way very close to track limits. Again, track limits not really being their friend this evening. The wet weather not necessarily being their friend until now. They do enjoy the wet weather usually. The controller traction helps them out a little bit, but still, regardless, it's incredibly difficult to drive with a controller, let alone in the rain. So really, they do have to be respected for that. Like 21 out of 27. I stand corrected right there. 12 seconds in the lead, and they're doing a pretty good job. 3.6 seconds. Igor is looking to try and catch Niffa here. Niffa with that damage through not really their own fault, with, of course, the pit crew not repairing that wing. Igor, no damage, trying to catch up. Now, so far this evening, we've got a bit of an overtaking attempt curse from all the drivers. It's as soon as you get super close to the car behind, or if you've got a car close with you, as we saw from PJ, of course, being pressured by Terence, all of a sudden in the wall, and it's game over immediately. It's incredibly difficult to deal with. Now, we see less people using that kind of low brake bias meta into the hairpin, as you have so much grip on the front end. It usually is okay, but in wet conditions it is a bit of a struggle still. 2.6 seconds, Eagle continues to catch up. Now the question is, catching is one thing, overtaking is another, overtaking in the rain is another, and overtaking in Monaco again is another. So yeah, you're going to be catching Igor. You're going to have to hope that Niffa makes a mistake on throttle, otherwise you're never going to be making that overtake. It will be incredibly difficult. Got everything against him to make an overtake, except from the car ahead having damage, and the only thing that Niffa has against them is that they have that damage, but they have track position. They have the rain preventing the cars behind from making an overtake. They also have not many laps to go of the Grand Prix. Eagles just tapped the wall there, so under a bit of trouble if they're not careful. Can't be doing that again. After all, they're trying to catch a driver with damage. They don't want to get themselves damage and then not be able to catch. They've got the advantage at the moment pace-wise, but utility-wise, whilst being ahead with track position, Niffa does have it. 2.2 seconds. It's slowly closing, very slowly, not too quickly. They still need a little bit more here. They need to get close enough, then also get the pressure on to try and find a way through. But at this point in the race, 2.5 seconds, the gap isn't closing too much, and Niffa can realise that and maybe think, you know what, I can start to relax. We're coming up to the 5 lap mark of the Grand Prix. So once Eagle crosses this line, he's got 5 laps to try and catch up to Niffa. 2.3 seconds. Really struggling on the throttle, it seems. Very twitchy on the throttle. Whether that's just a spectator thing, it's very possible. But we don't know. We can only go from what we're seeing at the moment as the spectator. 2.2 seconds. Slowly closing in that gap as they go through the first sector, heavily scattered with corners. And the hairpin will definitely be pro Igor. 1.8 seconds. They now make it to the 1 second margin. Can they nail this hairpin though? They get a lot of understeer. They have to delay the throttle, slow on exit, and then all of a sudden you get a bit of oversteer. It's incredibly frustrating to deal with. They touch the inside line. They will not get damaged. I say the inside line, the inside wall. They will get a massive scrub of speed, unfortunately, which will lose them a lot on that straight, where they really want to try and nail down that traction with the front wing that they have. Obviously, front wings usually don't really make much of rear traction and a drive out of a corner, but if you have the stability and you don't need to be working as hard to turn in the car, you can focus on that traction. So it should be advantage to Igor, but just not quite enough, unfortunately. 2.1 seconds, and now they've got 1 lap less to be able to catch up. In the meantime, Zingy continues to extend their gap. Terrence not able to catch up, but still getting that experience on track at the moment and trying to hold on the best they can. Zingy can start to release the pressure and look to win their first Grand Prix at Monaco in LSI, which not many people can say at all. But it's all about Nifo and Zingy. Nifo and Igor, I should say. You can see right behind, lurking in the distance, is Igor, but 2.1 seconds the gap is again. 1.7 to 1.8, slowly trying to bring it up, but they really need to make sure that they don't make any more mistakes. It was looking like they were catching, but a few little bits here and there has really changed the dynamic and made it very possible for Nifo to be able to hold on to this position. The pressure will be immense. The ERS is not being used too much, but you just can't use it in the wet conditions, because by the time you get the traction down and have stability, you can only use the ERS a little bit, and then all of a sudden you need to stop using it again because you're going into a corner. And also with the wet conditions, it really doesn't help, because you don't want extra horsepower, which is then going to make you wheel spin the car. This is the only major place that you can really use the ERS. Up the hill as well is going to be great. Understeering on entry, absolutely crazy stuff. They'll use the energy up the hill and then they'll wait for the tunnel section to use the ERS one more time. And Igor finds in the final 3 laps of the Grand Prix, under 3 laps remaining right now, a lot of time, as there's a big mistake there for Nifo in that first corner. And Igor finally not making those little mistakes as they were just a couple of laps ago. And you can see the difference that it makes to try and catch up. The anticipation is building. Nifo's got that pressure. They've only got a few more laps to hold on. And as I said, it's really hard to keep it together, but it's even harder to overtake. So all they need to do is just stay in front and not make any more mistakes, and they can be very, very good to go in the Grand Prix. Lap 25 out of 27. And Zingy makes it 26. These guys will reach that landmark very shortly. Igor just understeering on the exit, not having damage, just tapping that wall though, and it really scrubs off the speed again. They'll be able to close up nicely. We'll watch on board with Nifo to see if they once again have an issue into the first corner, but I don't think they will. They would have learnt their lesson last time, take it more tentative. They even go and take a little kiss for good measure, and I promise you I am still talking about F1, but Igor, it's not going to be enough. Getting as close as they can to the inside wall. That's absolute precision stuff at the final stages. They're trying to find everything they can, but it might be too little too late. 7/10, as close as they've been this evening, apart from being off the start line and of course on the safety car restart. They actually dropped to 7/10, 6/10 immediately, so this is almost as close as they were on the safety car restart. Zingy will start the final lap of the Grand Prix very, very shortly. They've got a half a lap to go again, and that will be a track extension there for Nifo. Was that meant to be, or was that a tactical extension, using this to try and extend the gap a little bit more? They make contact on the outside line, on the outside wall. It doesn't give them any less damage, of course. It doesn't change anything for Nifo, and they have got one final lap to make this Grand Prix a P2 position for them. Igor, as close as he'll ever be on the straight right here, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They can push as much as they can. There might be a mistake from Nifo, but Nifo really doesn't need to worry about it. Everything is in their hands. Terrence, it's been a tough one, but they're going to be able to finish the end of the Grand Prix, and hopefully they don't get overtaken by Zingy. They've only got a few corners to go. Zingy will then cross the line, and they will be not possible to be lapped, and that will be good. Of course, they want to try and finish this Grand Prix as a whole. No overtake will be available into the hairpin. Igor is so close, but it's not going to be enough for the moment. On the exit, unless they nail it, there won't be an overtaking opportunity into the braking zone. The next real overtaking opportunity is into the final two corners. In the final two corners now is Zingy. The delivery man is going to deliver once again. DRS not available, but a run to the line and a victory is Zingy wins the Monaco Grand Prix for the first time in LSI. Season 4 was the last time. It's not going to happen. This man raced in that Grand Prix last time around. It's not going to be enough for a P2, I don't think. Not close enough to send it on the final lap to the inside line. Even if he was, Nifo would have been able to defend. DRS will not be available again, but a P2 for Nifo after racing so long with that damage, and Eagle will take that P3 in the end. A lovely podium to welcome them back to Monaco for the first time in, that's about 2 to 3 years, probably maybe even more, 3 to 4 years, I should say. Terrence will finish off their lap and finish off the Grand Prix. It was looking like a brilliant race that we could have had with Igor and Terrence, of course, and maybe if they were able to hold on, they would have been able to have a fight with Nifo for that P2 position, but in the end, it just didn't come to it. Ever since, they've been able to keep it out the wall and continue in a straight line, which has been great experience, of course, this earlier in the game, and they're going to be happy that they completed this one. Incredibly difficult to complete, and now it's going to be invaluable for the rest of the season, rest of the game cycle. But this man is the man to look at today. They have won the Monaco Grand Prix from the back of the pack. They're going to get the driver of the day as well, no doubt about it. Very good stuff. Some hard battles, some very interesting situations they're involved in as well. An early pit stop, making that move work on the fresher tyre, and they stand on the top step of the podium. Zingy wins. Nifo in P2, Igor in P3, Terrence, PJ DNFing earlier on. Only time penalty does go to Zingy in the end, which they're going to be disappointed with, but I don't think they'll worry about it too much. Nifo gets fastest lap of the Grand Prix to add an extra point to their name. Thank you very much for watching. We'll move on to the post-race interviews. We'll see you in a bit. All right, thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. That race was an interesting one for sure. Still, he had some good anticipation and pressure despite the low grid attendance, of course. I want to say thank you very much to those that were watching, and thank you very much to everyone that did race today. I appreciate that very much. And we'll look to try and be stronger for the next few races. We will continue to try and push for bigger grids, but with the Euros, with the game cycle and with the game being obviously not off to a great start, it's very tough. I'm sure we'll be able to make that change, and the game will get its updates. So we will continue. Everything will be on its way back up, I'm sure. We'll continue to try and do that. We do actually have Nifo looking to try and do an interview as well as Terence. And Zingy, so we will quickly go and then catch back up for the post-race interviews in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome back. We are here for the post-race interviews. We start with Terence. Terence, it was a tough one. You were nice and close before, and actually on lap one, had a bit of an incident at the hairpin. Can you take us through?
Yeah, because Thingy just dive into inside, so actually nowhere to go. But yeah, there is racing in Monaco, and
Did you
yeah,
get
you need
damage
to
from that
spot.
or not?
No,
Wow.
didn't. Yeah, didn't. So lucky there. But then yeah, because there is Monaco, other drivers need to spot any other chance, any small chance to get the overtake done. So I would not score at him. And the happy aside, yeah, I can complete the Monaco Grand Prix at first.
Yeah, that is
And
definitely an achievement, and especially in the rain as well. I think you did very well. Do you feel like even though you weren't there to compete at the front with the other guys, do you feel like you learnt a lot from driving the circuit?
yes, because you need to, yeah, because I'm still using the Halo tail,
Oh
as you
yeah,
know,
I see.
the cockpit, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very hard from this field. I think you need to very guess use of your sense of space.
Uh-huh.
And also, yeah, I just have 20 minutes to research my suitable setup
Uh-huh.
for Monaco. So yeah, that is the hard one also. And then yeah, I never thought that I can compete with uh compete with just one driver. Yeah, that is
With
yeah,
Eagle.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't compete him with in F123, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
I mean,
please.
it's really impressive considering the late notice, but also cockpit cam around Monaco. You did a really, really good job, and despite not being the result you wanted, I think you should be still pretty proud of what you did. You finished the Monaco Grand Prix, as you said, so awesome job there. Canada, it's another very tight circuit, and for cockpit cam, if you do race there, do you like that circuit?
Oh yeah, Canada, I like it, but yeah, you know, Canada, you can't really make a setup that can shoot for any corners, and but that is two very long straight. So yeah, I have to research on that one later
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It
if
is
I
a
research.
very,
Yeah,
very difficult circuit for straight line, but also corners. But yeah, thank you very much, Terence. Really well done today, and hopefully to see you soon racing again. Thank you very much.
thank you, Aaron.
And we move on to Nifo. Nifo, that was very, very frustrating with the pit lane bug, as it always seems to affect people. Not what you want. Going to the battle with Eagle, though, do you have any doubt that you're going to concede that or hold that position, or are you thinking it's going to be pretty easy because you got track position as well in the rain?
I mean, I had some damage, so I was like, well, I don't know if I can keep it. But I saw him closing in, but I think I did well to like try and not lose too much time with the damage. I don't know if he had damage.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd certainly felt it, especially in the rain. I mean, I think I did all I could for quali, and then obviously I couldn't set on a lap because I got disconnected again, but I've still got pole. And then first 4 laps I pull away like 4 seconds, and then yeah, safety car, and I can't pit because I'm on mediums. I can't go to hards because they lose too much pace, and then you're on old mediums against Zingy, which yeah doesn't go well. I just got frustrated and then got damaged. It wasn't much. It's just yellow, but it's enough to be unable to keep him behind, and then from then on, it's just losing time everywhere. I mean, it's a immature mistake, and it's a learning experience for sure. Yeah, I didn't really. I haven't had the situation for a long time, so I just got frustrated. Just tried to push too much. I should have just conceded, but it's racing, I guess. It's all my fault. Yeah, and then in the rain, I suffered a little bit more damage on my left side of my wing as well. It was really, really minor though, like light green. But I should learn from this. Just try and do better next week. But yeah, it sure was frustrating with the safety car because well, if it didn't come, I was sure that we had a good chance of winning.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult circuit. You did complete it. You will have learned, I'm sure, a lot from that one. Another plus to look at was a brilliant safety car restart. So well done. That was pretty good from you. Canada, whether you raced there or not, do you like that circuit more than Monaco? And do you like that circuit in general?
I haven't had a league race there in a long time. The last time I put someone in the barrier going onto a straight, I think. So I should
I don't remember that.
I don't know. I don't know. This game, the circuits are really different, so I just gotta practice, see how the pace is. But yeah, I just hope I don't make such a mistake again.
Thank you very much, Nifo. Really well done on the safety car restart. Well done on the pole, and well done on the P2. Well done on to holding onto that position. It was very, very good. Lots of pressure, but you held onto it, so well done. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Ziggy, we go over to you. Now, it wasn't an easy qualifying, I guess. We didn't get to see it on live stream, so I'm going to have to ask you what happened there and hope that you're honest, and it wasn't just, you're not going to just say that you didn't crash and you just retired voluntarily. But anyway, the race, you managed to get there and you've managed to win the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah, in qualifying, I just thought I'd start from last. Why not? That's the first challenge.
What corner was it at?
What corner have I been going on?
What corner did you decide to do last to first?
The Novo chicane.
Right, okay. On the inside?
Yeah,
okay. You told me that you were going to be worried about it, and it happened. Anyway, onto the race. So lap 1, that was interesting.
yeah. PJ initially just didn't go off the line, and I went up the inside of Terence into the first corner. I don't know if I was alongside enough, but he pushed me off a little bit, so I kind of had to give him the position. And coming into the hairpin, I went up the inside, but I was turning fully, and the car just wasn't turning. So we kind of just drifted into the wall together, which I am sorry to Terence for. Thankfully, he said he didn't get any damage, and neither did I, so we only really lost time. But I don't know why it just doesn't turn when you're on the inside, unless I had to use the curb or something. But these things happen, and then the safety car helped me get off those horrible hard tyres, and then after getting past Igor, it was just a case of pressuring Niffle, and he made a bit of a mistake, and that's where the damage happened, and then from there on it was smooth sailing.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I say smooth sailing, you say smooth sailing. That pit stop situation going on to the intermediate tyre, do you think you were one lap too late?
Well, the thing is, I hardly could see the rain. Like I knew it was coming down. I just couldn't really see how much was there, and I couldn't see how much was on the ground. And I don't know why. So I just assumed that I was going off the DRS disable thing at that point, and it happened halfway during my lap. So I lost about 2 or 3 seconds, but I knew I had the gap anyway. That's why I was pushing so much on those medium tires, and thankfully my pace was enough to rejoin in first place, even with that interesting strategy choice.
Fair enough. Well said. And congratulations, you have won the first Monaco Grand Prix in about 3 or 4 years. So yeah, well done. Not many people can say that. And we'll see you next time for Canada, hopefully. Canada, is that a circuit that you like?
Well, for car cutting, it's going to be quite difficult. There are some places you can cut the track and get an instant 2 seconds. We discovered that in open lobbies. It's the first chicane, turn 3 and 4, and then there's the last chicane that can also give you penalties. So I don't know what we're going to do for that. I think we're obviously going to keep on strict, but I think it'll be a bit difficult, especially if we do get multiple penalties. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I think at Canada, I've got definitely a good chance of winning. But Niffle, not as well in the past, he's not been so strong there. But I think nowadays he's quite good at it. So he'll probably give me a good challenge.
I think he's been pretty good there in the past. I've raced him a few times. I know it's of course me and it's not you, but I think he has been pretty strong there in the past. I'm sure he'll be all right there. Thank you very much, Zingy. Congratulations, well done again, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. And that has been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next weekend for the Canadian Grand Prix. We'll see you on Tuesday for practice lobbies. It's been a pleasure, and bye-bye.